a draw, or perish. The thought of defeat for England in Nizhny Novogrod, formerly known as Gorky in homage to the acclaimed wordsmith, would have seen the wave of optimism circulating the country replaced by a tsunami of pessimism yesterday afternoon. We need not have worried. In the event, it was one of those rarest of beasts for the Three Lions, a serene and stress-free World Cup afternoon in the summer sun by the Volga against an opponent who were pulverized. England itself is preparing for a heatwave this week, but the mercury has already risen sharply among the nation's support courtesy of a ruthless, majestic, if somewhat bizarre 6-1 routing of poor Panama. Never mind Gorky's the lower depths, this was all about a football team being out of their depth. A country whose most revered sportsman is legendary boxer Roberto Duran, whose nickname was Hands of Stone. Panama's footballers supposedly had a reputation for hanging tough. 8 clean sheets in 16 World Cup qualifiers provided statistical evidence of just that, and it was also showcased in a doughty first half in their opener against Belgium before class eventually told. As for yesterday, the Panamanians showed their prowess at wrestling as opposed to boxing in a scarcely believable and brutal first half that saw them concede 2 penalties, for brainlessly attempting to swap shirts with their opponents, and ship 5 goals in a nightmare opening 45 minutes. The defending was utterly hapless, but the cutting-edge and merciless first half finishing displayed from those in white was to be wholly admired. It was Teutonic in its efficiency, with England forcing the record books to be dusted down at halftime. Second group games at World Cups for England had previously provided instances of the good, the bad and the ugly. For the good, who can forget David Beckham's cathartic penalty against Argentina in Sapporo in 2002, or Paul Gascoigne bursting onto the World Cup stage with a mesmeric show against the Dutch in Cagliari in 1990. Then there was that sublime save from Gordon Banks in Lyon in 1970, plenty of the bad too, including a crushing defeat to Luis Suarez-inspired Uruguay under slate grey Sao Paulo skies 4 years ago. The plain ugly? Try a rancid goalless draw against the Moroccans in Monterrey in 1986 when the late Ray Wilkins was dismissed, and a thoroughly desperate stalemate with Algeria in Cape Town back in 2010, a strong contender for the worst England game in living memory. This was the spectacular, more especially in the first half. The stage may have comprehensively been too much for Panama, but this will be a game no one of an English persuasion will ever forget, as England emulated their feats of 1982 and 2006 in winning their first 2 group games at a World Cup finals. Within it were some fine individual accomplishments. For Barnsley's John Stones, there was the honour of being the first Yorkshireman to score for England at a World Cup finals since Doncastrian Ron Flowers, born in the pit village of Bedlington, netted in the 3-1 win over Argentina at the finals in Chile in 1962. Harry Kane was also clearly scenting Flowers and became the second Englishman to score in each of his first 2 World Cup games since the ex-Wolves midfielder did just that 56 years ago. The afternoon ended with the Spurs forward joining another select England gathering and emulating Sir Geoff Hurst and Gary Lineker in scoring a hat-trick at a World Cup finals. He also became the first player to score a hat-trick at brace in consecutive World Cup games since 1986. A fact supplied on social media by the previous player to do that, Gary Winston Lineker. The fact that Kane refused to milk the moment after exiting the stage shortly after unwittingly netting his 3rd and England's 6th on 62 minutes perhaps said everything about the fact that he and his teammates knew they were facing no ordinary World Cup class opponent, and that bigger, much bigger, tests will come. But you beat what is in front of you. In their last game against similar-sized opponents in Stuttgart in 2006, England's golden generation laboured to a 2-0 win over Trinidad and Tobago. Here there was far more kudos. The only thing missing was a goal for Raheem Sterling, with the shirt still seemingly a touch heavy. Less so for Stones. His 8th-minute headed opener was a gem, and the sight of him notching a second before the break added to the sense of incredulity. The half also witnessed a beauty from Jesse Lingard, a goal he will recall with fondness in the years to come. Given events in the first half, there was always likely to be a drop-off. Kane had his moment, as did Panama when 37-year-old Felipe Baloy hit a consolation that brought one piece of joy to residents in Panama City where it was raining heavily, fittingly. A tame second half in comparison, with three Yorkshire substitutes in Danny Rose, Fabian Delph and Jamie Vardy unable to indulge in the goal frenzy after entering the fray. But this was a case of a job done emphatically.